July can't get here any sooner, man. Activision has been steadily dropping more and more footage of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 Plus 4. We've seen new skaters, more of the levels, the reveal of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 on the PS2, and SpongeBob. Everything is coming together, and yet the fans are still not happy. I did a video speaking about the change to the career mode in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. And one of the common complaints was that we were getting less content than we did in the original PS2 game. It is true that we are getting a different experience, but are we really getting less for our dollar? Looks like it's time for another history lesson, as I think some people are forgetting how Tony Hawk games worked before Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Now, before we dive in, I want to be clear that I'm not going to pull a fast one and say, you're getting more content because it's two games in one. I will be referencing the older games, but this video is only talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 Remake supposed lack of content. So let's go back to the beginning. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 was a pick up and play arcade style skateboarding game where you did tricks, collect items, win competitions, and got high score. You had a nice amount of pro skaters to choose from with their own stats, special moves, and career path. Playing through everyone's career unlocked extra content and add tons of replay value to the player. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3 kept the same formula. They added more replay value by adding cash in 2, secret decks to find in 3, and even more secret characters than the previous games. The career mode being modeled after an arcade game made beating multiple careers not feel repetitive or redundant. You could easily beat a skater's career in a few hours, even at 100%. The content may be mostly the same, but because the core gameplay was so good, we loved replaying Tony Hawk Pro Skater over and over again. Now, that brings us to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, which was a little bit different. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 changed the formula of the franchise, and if you want more details on that, you should check out my video above or in the description. What I want to focus on here is the gutted replay value. See, Neversoft was attempting to make the player's experience feel more convenient, but in my opinion, they did it in the wrong area. They took away the ability to play through every skater's career mode. No matter who you play as, all career progression is shared across every skater. Meaning, if you played as your created skater, like most of us did, and beat all the goals, every other skater in the roster also had all their goals completed. Now, there were these pro goals that added a few extra missions per pro skater, but those pro goals were very minute, only give you an extra bit of content after beating the campaign in full with your created skater or whoever you used at the time. I guess they thought the switch to a mission based structure would make players not want to repeat the career mode over and over again, but that's exactly what we end up doing anyway by starting a new save file. This doesn't remove the fact that doing this feels like a lesser experience than your first run through your career mode. And adding the ability to do any mission over again through a menu also doesn't amount to the feeling of progression provided by a proper career mode. I believe this is another part of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4's history that a lot of fans seem to forget. I think at times nostalgia blinds people and people forget the entire experience of Pro Skater 4. Each level in Pro Skater 4 did have more goals than the two mini games, but this is another thing that people forget. Most missions could be completed in less than a minute. So when you think about it, you're not getting much more content than you did before. It's just done in a different way. So taking away your option to start a new career mode with a different pro skater really made no sense. At first I thought maybe it was because they thought the game would have been too long if you had to do it multiple times, but when you really think about it, Pro Skater 4 isn't a long game. According to howlongtobeat.com, Pro Skater 4 is actually shorter to 100% than both Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3. That's absolutely insane when you really think about it. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 on the PS2 took about 10 and a half hours to beat. But if you want to go 100%, it took 25 hours, which seems fair enough, right? The game before it, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, took 8 hours to beat, but if you want to 100% it, which is something that a lot of us did, you got 37 and a half hours out of it. More content than you did in Pro Skater 4. And if we go even further back in time, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 gave you about 9 hours to beat the game, but 62 hours, yes, 62 hours to 100% it. The only game Pro Skater 4 has a longer runtime over is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, where you could beat Pro Skater 1 in 4.5 hours or get 100% in 14.5 hours. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 was a great game. It's a game that paved the way for the future of the franchise, which I talked about in my other video. But when it comes to content, it was lacking compared to the 2-minute games, and I think Activision probably knew that, and that could have contributed to the change that we got in the remake. By moving to the 2-minute format, we can bet that playing through every skater's career mode will return. Each skater will have their own challenges and unlocks like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered. The extra content doesn't stop there either. The added New Game Plus, which is supposedly going to add a new lineup of goals, means that we technically are getting 2 career modes per skater. As of now, we know that there are 20 playable skaters, which should all have their own career mode, meaning that each skater you have 2 campaigns to run through. That's way more content than we got in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. We also got to factor in that there are new levels being added to Pro Skater 4. Now, some people believe that some levels will be removed and replaced with these new levels, but as far as we know, that's not the case. So we're getting even extra levels on top of the 9 original levels from the PS2 game. We already know of 2 extra levels being added, and those levels will have their own goals, which you will have to do twice because there's going to be 2 separate goals per career path. New Game Plus career path and the normal career path. And I want you to keep this in mind again. I am not counting the fact that this is a collection pack where you're also getting Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I'm not even factoring that in. There is just no way we could say that we're getting less content than we did before. We're actually getting more bang for our buck. It's just in a different way. Now I already know what you guys are going to say. Activision could have given us the original Pro Skater 4 career mode, but removed the cross career mode progression. With that gone, yeah, we would have gotten not only the mission format, but a restored replay factor of the original games before it. Add in the New Game Plus mode, which means you're getting double the campaign. Put Bam Margera back in. Add the mini games, the elephants and missing animals from Zoo, and everything else that's missing. And this would have been a dream come true. I know. But that's just not reality. We can sit here all day and what if ourselves to sleep and complain about what we don't have, or we could just focus on what's to come. None of you guys are wrong for wanting the original experience of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I never want you guys to think that that's what I'm saying or that I'm belittling your wants. That's not the case, and to be honest, when I first heard that there was going to be a 3+4 remake, just like you guys, I just assumed they were going to give us the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 career mode. But they decided to go a different direction, and rather you think it's due to laziness, lack of budget, or just them wanting to try something new, what we got, if we're being fair, it's not less content, and that's what this video is about. There's a point where we can over express our agitation to the point that we're just making things up, or in some people's case, they're not lying or making things up, but more they're just not remembering. A lot of people don't remember games from their past. They focus on the nostalgia, they focus on the good times, and they don't focus on the things that those games could improve upon. In Pro Skater 4, just like we can argue every Tony Hawk Pro Skater game, has things that if we look back now, they could update and make better. I know this video won't change anyone's opinion, but it should take away any doubts that we're getting less of a game. It's true that we're getting a different experience than we all imagine, but less content, that's just a flat out lie. And for those fans that still want a free roaming career mode, just wait a bit. I have a video idea that could help you guys out. Not saying anything has been confirmed or not, but I'm just saying I have a few ideas that could be added in Pro Skater 3 plus 4 if it isn't already there to begin with. But that's for the next video. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.